right, we're gonna go on the record. I didn't know how to pronounce your client's name, Veronica. Is it Shire?
Shire.
Shire. She appears in her attorney's office, Miss Huntington, as the petitioner in Butler County District Court case number 2025 DM 245. Mr. Goodrich appears by Zoom, presumably in Texas, separately from his attorney, Miss Rebecca Mann. Okay, well, this case was filed quite a while ago in July of this year. There have been ongoing issues with jurisdiction between Kansas and Texas. And in the midst of all of it, I did have an informal conference with the Texas judge, who basically advised me that they weren't going to reinstate the custody case in Texas. And that, I mean, I'm not even sure they relinquished jurisdiction, but I mean, they have. They're not going to assume any jurisdiction. And at the time that this case was filed, that case was already dismissed. Now, I was willing, frankly, counsel, to wait and see what happened in Texas as far as if there was a clerical mistake and that it was, you know, I'm not suggesting there was any fault of the parties, but if they were going to resurrect the case, that would be, may constitute a different analysis. But it's clear the home state of the child is in Kansas and has been and was 6 months prior to the petitioner filing this paternity action or custody action. And I mean, she had been allowed by Texas to go to Kansas, and she was given primary residential custody by Texas. So I don't believe that there's any other state with jurisdiction or there's any conflicting jurisdiction. I think this court has proper jurisdiction and under UCC JEA provisions. So I'm going to deny the request to dismiss this case under UCC JEA, which means, it doesn't mean you can't appeal it. But I think there's a pretty good record of your positions by your filings. I mean, both of you have extensively briefed the issues in this case factually, legally. I mean, I'm not sure that either one of you could have had better representation than what you've had thus far. And I assume you had pretty good representation in Texas as well, but certainly in Kansas. So where we're at now, I think, is that temporary orders need to be entered. And then I guess a decision of whether or not the parties should go to domestic conciliation. They don't qualify yet for case management, but at the rate they're going, they are going to. I hope not. But then, you know, ultimately a custody trial, if that's what you want.
Well,
Judge, I think Tina and I just both tried to jump in on you.
yeah.
Okay. Tina and I have been able to have a conversation prior to coming on today, and we kind of thought you might go that route, and we wanted to just confirm jurisdiction was going to stay here in Kansas. And then she and I had exchanged some emails about possibly establishing some temporary parenting time for dad pending an evidentiary hearing on the motions that are pending before the court. And we had gotten somewhat to an agreement, but then there's a couple things that I thought maybe the court would be able to help out with.
Okay.
I know that
I-
mom has a concern about cost for DC. My client has a concern about timing and how long it would take instead of just setting this for trial. I don't know what your calendar is and that sort of thing. So
Right.
I don't know where you want to start with all of that, but I think that we are all on the same page as far as how to proceed as far as trial goes. Like that's our next step.
I was trying to look at, Andover schedule.
Yep.
And, the calendar's hard for me to read anyway online, because I can't coordinate the dots with the activities, but I'm gonna presume it's like my grandkids in Derby, that these Monday dots are maybe late starts.
Actually, that's exactly what Tina and I were looking at. As far as the proposal back and forth. The dots on Monday, the 29th, the dot on Friday, October 17th, the dot on Monday, November 3rd are all off days. There is no school.
Okay, so the 29th is late start, did you say?
No school.
No school, okay, and the 13th of October is no school.
17th is no school.
Okay, I've got a dot on the 13th or something, okay. So if you guys have researched it, I'm just gonna leave it up to you, so. September 29th is no school. October,
17.
okay, I wonder what's happened on the 13th and the 16th.
Well, I don't know because I don't have dots.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm looking at sunflower, 2025, 26, okay, I don't think this is a very good calendar, I'm not sure what I found.
Your Honor, do you mind if I share my screen?
Sure. Yeah, because I have dots for November 3rd, November 10th, and then Thanksgiving week.
So this is what can you see the Andover USD 385?
Yeah,
Okay, this is what I was using.
okay, and it
and-
combines all of the schools.
I would assume so. It doesn't specifically say.
My client said that's the same one they received, so I would
Okay,
think it's
Okay.
gonna work.
okay. So when I read this, and I'm sorry, I enlarged it so I could see it. The yellow dots are all schools closed. The red dots are all schools closed, and the blue dot says school not in session. And orange dot is all schools closed. So we went back and forth and we picked out I identified those weekends that had those dots as extended weekends that my client could potentially have for visitation. And
They're off. Yes, December, yes, 22nd, clear to the 5th. Yeah, okay, all right,
Yes.
I'm following you.
yes, so I think, and I'm sorry, I forgot I had shared my screen. I think that Tina, and correct me if I'm wrong, mom has an objection because of a scheduling conflict to this upcoming September 29th or 26, 27, 28, 29 weekend. No objection to this October 17th weekend. An objection to the November 3rd weekend. No objection to all of November 24 through 28. And then we agree, Tina, to flip-flop what I had emailed you about Christmas.
Okay. Can I, Ms.
Yes,
Mann has done a
go
great
ahead.
job of recitating kind of what we've talked about. I just wanted to say that expense is a major issue for my client, and Judge, I know I filed that response late, so you may not have had a chance to look at it, but these parties still owe over $10,000 to the amicus attorney in Texas that spent over a year working with them on a parenting plan.
Yeah.
So to go back into
Is my understanding correct that dad makes close to 200,000 a year, like 185, 190?
that is correct. That's my understanding.
And what is did you just happen to look at their incomes and run a child support worksheet and see, had he had it been ordered in Kansas, what it would have been or what it would be?
No, Miss Mann and I weren't able to connect and get a worksheet going.
Okay.
But I was waiting for updated income information. I should have
Okay.
done that, but I didn't. Back to this first weekend that the respondent had asked for, Mila is the child's name. Her great grandmother passed away. She was in a car wreck, and there's a service scheduled for the 25th, and then a celebration of life on the 27th. They have upwards of 15 to 20 family members coming in from out of town, and a host of others that are coming from other parts of western Kansas to be there. And Mila is set to be not really a flower girl for it, but she's going to be handing out flowers to individuals. And so this is kind of a big deal. It's an opportunity for her to meet her extended family. We're not trying to say that that's more important than the respondent, but we had suggested maybe this weekend in place of that weekend. And I think Ms. Mann indicated that he was planning on taking this weekend anyway. We didn't know that at this point, but that is the issue, Your Honor, with regard to the weekend of the 25th, 26th, 27th.
Okay, what's the objection to November 3rd?
November 3rd, the only thing that we had said was he wanted to have her for Halloween. And that's on a Friday, I believe. And she has a Halloween class. She's having a Halloween party in her class that she's already got a outfit for and wants to participate in. What we suggested was that he come and go to her Halloween party, take her after the Halloween party. He could do trick-or-treating here somewhere before they travel back to Texas. And then we had also proposed extending it into the 4th and instead of the 3rd of November.
Okay.
I think he really wanted to have Halloween with her, so that's kind of where we were at with that weekend.
And if I can just comment on those two weekends real
Yeah.
briefly. The handwritten order, I guess is what it is from Texas that was done, I guess, a couple weeks ago. Between the parties was an agreement that he would have the 1st, 3rd, and 5th weekends. And that's insane, as I've kind of voiced my opinion to counsel and to my client. Given the distance that these parties live, it's a 5-hour drive to get halfway between Andover and basically Houston, Texas. So, for example, this last time that the parties did just a normal 2-day weekend, they met at 9 o'clock at night at the halfway point, and on Friday night, and then did it again on Sunday night. And so that's just crazy for the adults, but also for the children or for the child. So although this weekend, the 19th, is technically the 3rd weekend of the month, my client would love to see his child, obviously, but he cannot come all the way to Kansas to pick her up and then turn around and drive all the way back and then turn around and drive all the way back to Kansas. And he doesn't really have the funds, although he does make a good living, to do all of the transportation, have a hotel, do all of those things with Mila as well. So he would like to have this weekend, but he would ask to meet halfway. Alternatively, he would like to have the full extended weekend that we had originally proposed, but I understand there's a funeral, that sort of thing. As far as the weekend of November, that includes November 3rd, we had proposed that, so Mila's in kindergarten, and we proposed that the parties meet on Thursday, October 30th at 6. I understand that means that she misses school on the 31st, but that gives Dad an opportunity to have Halloween in Texas. It also allows Mila an opportunity to have Halloween with her half siblings and step siblings that are in Texas on the 31st. In an area that my client is familiar with. I don't think it's fair to ask him to come and have Halloween in Andover, Kansas, where he doesn't know anybody, and then return her on the 3rd. I understand that there's school activities. But this is her, and, you know, she's in kindergarten, so, that's the reason my client would like to have, Halloween in Texas. And again, any type of exchange, we ask that it occur halfway. So those are our two responses to those 2 weekends.
And then I think I did come back and said, if we're gonna, we'll have to change the time a little bit for her to, my client to get there, unless we're taking her out of school all day. We'd like to try to avoid
Does
that.
anyone check the flight costs? Are there any good? I've never even been to Houston. I think I've been through it
There's usually some
internationally, but
direct flights, yeah.
From
Huh?
from what my client has provided to me, and it's a little bit confusing, but in the past, when he has had to fly here, he typically has flown into either Oklahoma City or Tulsa because it's cheaper than flying all the way into Wichita. He then has to rent a car. He usually has to come in a day before, stay at the night, get a car, drive up. I mean, it's very complicated. Very rarely have I seen him drive or fly all the way into Wichita. And I don't know if he's looked into any flights or not. But again, that's an expense that usually is around $600 a pop, including him and Mila, just for the flight.
And Your Honor, I wanted to add in there too, so that you know, this weekend, since Respondent hadn't notified her that he wanted to take advantage of this weekend, she didn't know he was coming, so her schedule for work is already in place. So that's the reason she can't take 5 hours to drive one way this weekend.
well, I think in the, maybe not in the short term, but in the long term, these parties are, I think are gonna end up with one weekend a month during the school year, and maybe 2, but I do think 3 is probably unrealistic. And obviously, I would like to schedule that, I mean, for sure on the temporary basis, when their 3-day weekends or extended weekends, because Andover's not a 4-day a week school, so it's 5 days a week. But I mean, let me say this, I want him to have any days where the child's not in school.
Yeah.
So, and
May I also point out that the Respondent had her for the entire summer that led to not returning her. He had
Yeah.
her almost 3 months, and then he's already had her 1 weekend this month.
so I am going to allow her to keep the child the last weekend of September because of the family situation. And then if they were doing 1st and 3rd, the first weekend on October would be the 4th, but there's an extended on the 17th, right?
Correct.
And that one's agreed. We've got the 16th through the 19th agreed.
Okay. Well, does he want to take advantage of basically the 3rd through the 5th of October, or just wait till the 17th?
Well, I guess I'll ask my client that, but the 5th weekend is the Halloween weekend. And
Yeah.
so I
Yeah.
think my client would prefer to have the 30th through the 3rd. But
In all honesty, if I'm giving her the September weekend, and I don't know that I'm always going to do this, but I don't think in kindergarten they're going to accomplish a lot on Halloween when they're doing Halloween parties and parade and all of that. And so I don't think it would hurt for Dad to have her. And but I don't think they can develop a plan where they take her out of school a lot. So they're gonna have to work around those, extended time frames that are usually at mid-semester. And then, holiday breaks, Thanksgiving, winter, Christmas, spring break, maybe extra time at Easter or something. And that may put your client in a position, Ms. Huntington, that she's missing out on some holidays that she should ordinarily have. I don't want her to miss all holidays, but there's gotta be serious consideration of free days, at least during school. Now, I want you to know that I want an order. If these parties do not return the child as ordered, absent an extreme circumstance, a car breaks down somewhere and it's provable, or they're in the hospital and it's provable, something like that. If there's not a return of the child, not only are there going to be contempt provisions, but there also could be parental kidnapping issues, because I am very, very concerned about both parties deciding at different times that they're not going to return the child. At some points, even contrary to existing court orders, and I don't want that to happen in my case. I understand this is difficult. I really don't want to rehash old, waters. You have a right to present a case, but there's a lot that was done and decided in Texas that is over and done with. And it's water under the bridge, so to speak, as far as I'm concerned, unless it's having a continuous effect on the child in the here and now. And so now we need to move forward with figuring out how they're going to navigate this, because nobody's a winner in child custody cases, and no matter which side has a child during the school year, there's constant navigation of trying to get as much time with the other parent as possible, given the travel situation. And I think that they're going to need to continue meeting, but there's going to have to be a child support order and it needs to be paid. And if you don't want to travel and he is willing to, and he wants I don't know if it'd be half, but because that's what somebody said went on in Texas, I have no idea, but if you want to reduce child support for travel considerations, you're free to do that. I mean, you're free to negotiate that, but otherwise, you're just going to have to meet halfway and try to do it an extended weekend and in a way that has the least amount of, I don't want to say detriment, but negative outcomes for the child. I mean, a kid can sleep in the car. Yeah, it's 2 a.m. and you got to carry her into the house, but kids sleep pretty good on the road. So, I mean, you're always going to be able to find something with each other. There's no doubt about that. Now, these other issues, if you've resolved them, then maybe you don't want to hear from me. But I'm not inclined right now to order psychological evaluations, to order drug testing. I understand that Ms. Goodrich was on probation. It's not illegal to drink alcohol. And I don't know what those orders, again, I don't want to rehash that her orders were, but she was released in July. So that's almost 90 days. And I haven't even seen any scientific presentation on the alcohol testing for hair follicles, relatively new. And so I haven't seen any kind of any prior hearings or anything. It's new to me and it's expensive. And I'm just not going to do that right now unless you've got some indication that it's a current concern. And frankly, if you haven't had this issue come up with me before, sometimes I just tend to stick people on scram bracelets just to be sure that I know they can maintain sobriety on their own anyway. But I'm not going to do that either right now. What the problem with domestic conciliation, you know, we have collaborative resources out of Andover. They are very expensive. It will be a minimum of $2,000 a piece. It could be upwards of 10,000 a piece. I'm not convinced these two are going to produce much in mediation, and then we don't get any recommendation. Frankly, I haven't heard from either one of them, but I almost thought Lance Parker might be a good option, but I don't know what he's doing right now. I can't tell what his real emphasis is right now. So, and I'm sure he's expensive. So I think the two attorneys are about as common sense and knowledgeable and hardworking as anybody I could send you to that will cost you money, and you're paying your attorneys anyway. So I think we set a pre-trial conference date, and we see how things are going, and we see what the attorneys can come up with and go from there. I do like recommendations, but I don't always follow them. And I just think there's some limitations that you can't get around in this case. You certainly can't do a shared schedule during school. And they're not gonna be able to. And this is a young child. They've got a lot of years to continue to raise her and co-parent her. And I don't know how successful a DC is going to be, because it's going to need to be remote too. And so there's some that are really good at that and willing to do it, and there are others that probably aren't as good at that. And I just don't know that we need a lot of investigative work done at this point. And I don't think that I want them to have to pay for a guardian ad litem right now either. I think we just need to come up with a schedule. And if there are genuine issues about the other parent being incapable of parenting, then that person's going to have to prove that up, and it's going to have to be pretty serious. But we need a schedule that they both follow, and some good form of communication, whether that be, our family wizard or whatever the two attorneys can come up with. Sometimes it's just creating emails that are only used for purposes of parental communication.
They're currently using App Close.
Okay, that's a good one, I think
Yeah.
I've heard. And pretty reasonable. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on with the half siblings and the step siblings, but for me, the emphasis is not so, please don't get me wrong. My siblings, who I love dearly, are 10 years older than I am. Please don't get me wrong, but I don't think it's as critical at her age, given the age differential between all of the siblings. If they make it work and they believe it's important, great. But I'm not going to deny one parent visitation over the other because of sibling contact. Are you following me?
Yeah.
So the priority is her and as much time with both parents as possible, and them co-parenting well together, and a good transportation plan, a good communication plan. and a good look at, where you should be at for child support purposes. And, I'm gonna set it as pre-trial conference but I'm not gonna set a trial date because I don't want to motivate them to litigate necessarily. But I want it to be clear that this case is on a trial track, if it needs to be. So what else can I do for you today?
I just want to make sure, I'm happy to do an order. So if that's what the court and council would like. But I just want to make sure that I've got my notes right.
Okay, can I
Um,
ask you this? Are they gonna split the December break?
yes.
Okay, and how are they splitting it?
So let me, if you don't mind, Judge, I'm gonna go through the dates specifically, and then that way we can all be on the same page.
Okay,
So mom will have the September 26, 27, 28, 29 weekend. Dad will have October 16, 17, 18, 19, which is agreed upon. Dad will have October, and this is what I need a clarification on. We had proposed October 30th at 6 to November 3rd at 6. Is that okay with the court? Because that will pull her out of school.
Mhm.
2 days or one?
It's 1.5.
Yeah, that's fine for this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanksgiving was agreed upon, but that would be Saturday, November 22nd through Sunday, November 29th. Then mom would have through December through the 28th, is that right?
Yeah, 20th, 28th, yeah.
The December 28th, and then dad would have September 28th through January 5.
I thought we were doing 4 at 6 p.m.
Oh, well, 5, they don't have school.
I was thinking so she could get back on her schedule.
Well, is there any way we can, if we're doing 6, she's gonna get home at 11 o'clock at night. Right? Oh, you're saying the 5th is another day off. Okay.
Yes, the 5th is another day off.
So can we do earlier on the 5th if we're doing the 5th, so she's not getting home at 11 at night?
After she's been off school for 3 weeks.
Like at noon
Um,
or one?
Andrew, do you have an opinion on that?
Would it be possible for like 3 o'clock?
Yeah, I think that will work.
Okay,
Oh, she's
Okay.
been off school for 3 weeks and then being back on schedule from school.
so
And then
just,
that's as far as you've gotten?
yes, because I was
Okay.
hoping we could maybe have it, if we needed a trial, we could have it before then.
And my client she is agreeable to do an adjustment on child support as they did in Texas that would, for the long distance travel expenses. She's absolutely willing to do that or interested
Okay.
in looking
Well,
at
I'm
that.
gonna let you two talk about that and come up with a proposed worksheet for me if you will try to do that, please.
Okay. And then, just for other or just to make sure I've got everything that needs to be in the order. There is specific language that if the parties do not return the child on time without just cause, there will be contempt and or parental kidnapping charges pending or something along those lines.
Yeah, I mean,
Consideration, maybe.
Consideration.
I think referral. I want them to understand that I may refer this case to a prosecutor.
Okay.
Under the PKPA.
Okay,
We also had an agreement to daily phone calls at 5:30.
Yeah.
well,
What
my
do
client
what
would
do
like,
the experts say about FaceTime? Because it's hard to keep their attention, but I don't like forcing kids. I mean, I FaceTime with my granddaughter that's 2 quite a bit, but not more than 10 minutes. So I think there's like a certain amount of time probably per age. And I don't think over 20 or 30 minutes is necessary on FaceTime.
First, I know we all use FaceTime, but I think the parties are using app close for the
Okay.
communication,
Okay,
with the child. My understanding is that it's just this hour time frame that the call is supposed to be made. I don't think there's a requirement that it's an hour long. Obviously, my client would like to have as much time as possible. But I believe that the understanding is that the call is going to be made between X time and X time. Now, my client would prefer the call to be made between 4:30 and 5:30 because the 5:30 to 6:30 is kind of right in the middle of dinner time for him and his family. And then they currently, I think, have been doing 6 to 7, which has been difficult because the child's either tired or it's time to start winding down and getting ready for bed and all of that. So he would propose the 4:30 to 5:30 timeframe.
But except for those 3 days.
yeah,
Yeah,
everybody's schedules are different, some.
Yeah.
yeah, my client would be
grandson's like
open.
At 5, so, you know, I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know, and they may do it different in each household, but I think that there needs to be an understanding of a limit to 20 minutes on a call. And sooner if she's not focusing. I mean, the other party shouldn't distract. I don't know why, other than if she, I mean, I imagine she's old enough to hold the phone and work the phone and
Mhm.
so I'm not sure why the other parent is even in the room next to the child. But can you two agree on a best time? And it almost needs to be that if you set a time and the call's not made within a 10 or 15-minute time frame of that time, then you just forfeit that call. I mean, both of you need to know what time to make the child available and that be your priority. As much, you know, as much as you can is, I don't know what kind of extra, there was a mention of her in extracurricular. I don't know I don't know that that would be school related in kindergarten, but
The only thing that we were concerned about is, and she'll work around it, she wants dad to understand that 3 days a week, is it Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday?
Mhm.
She has a niece that comes over in the afternoon after school. So if it's later, there's a good chance she's gone. If it's earlier, she'll be there on those 3 days. And we can try to separate them and do all of that, but that could be a distraction for her.
okay. So what time does she propose?
6, was it 6 that
I
you
mean,
said
I
your
thought
niece
that-
is gone?
She gets up picked up between 5 and 5:30.
Okay.
And I
If it's after 5:30, that should be fine because she gets picked up between 5:15, 5:30.
So what time? Andrew, what time do you feed your kids?
We're usually eating between 5 and 6, usually for dinner, sometimes like 5:30 to 6:30.
And so what about you, Veronica?
Around the same time, pretty much. Our calls have been from 6 to 7, so she eats dinner, takes her bath and everything before her calls with her dad. It's when my niece leaves, we're pretty much already cooking dinner and then we eat right after that. So around the same time.
Well, it also makes it hard ordering it every day. That's,
I
you
do
know,
make sure
that's,
My client, I didn't even know this, but she said she has her call him 2 in the morning every day before school.
She calls on the way to school every day.
I mean, I think shorter times more frequently probably is better. I think if we do 6:30, maybe dinner's done and do bath after. So if you do a bath and she's, you know, if that's her kind of ritual to unwind and put on jammies and get ready for bed, then that might be too late. Let's just make it 6:30. It doesn't interfere with anybody's dinner time. And then if, the call isn't made, by 6:45, then you just have to revert to, the next day. And you can do it any more that she wants to, whenever she wants to as well, or has something to tell the other one. And then, you know, I think it should be limited to 15 to 20 minutes. Should be the expectation. So try to do that and not interfere or disrupt or, be impatient. If you're the parent that physically has the child and the other one's trying to get time, because I do think there is a lot of value in FaceTime or app, you know, close or whatever. Interacting with the other parent if they don't see the other parent daily or frequently. You know, as opposed to telephone calls. I mean, I think there's real value in that kind of little more spontaneous interaction. So try to make that work, please. And okay, so you were running through any questions you have with regard to drafting an order?
Right. I think, I think that you've indicated, like implied this, but I just want to double check for my client's sake. Unless the parties reach an and if this is not what you said, please tell me. And the party should meet halfway to exchange the child, and they've met in Sanger, Texas. Is that the court's order unless the parties reach an agreement regarding the child, you know, related to child support, if dad's willing to drive all the way and mom gives the
Right.
adjustment, but until that actually occurs, the parties meet in Sanger, Texas?
Yes.
Okay.
I have a domestic day, December 22nd. Do you want to do a pretrial conference that day?
Which day?
December 22nd, the Monday. It is, I mean, that's the week of Christmas.
I'm available. I know that my client was kind of hoping we would have some resolution before then, or a trial date at least before then, but I'm available for a
Okay,
pretrial.
Yeah, December 22nd is fine as well for my client and myself.
Well, that's not refreshing. I guess we don't have the 26th off.
Oh,
Well, part of the problem is I understand that he's gonna want a more definitive schedule sooner rather than later and get a ruling from the court and see if he wants to go to trial or appeal or what he wants to do, but I also need them to see how things are enough time to see how things are working. And what the pros and cons of all of this are and that kind of thing. So I wouldn't want to do much, you know, before mid-November for a pre-trial conference. I could do November 25th. I'll set this for a tentative trial December 22nd.
I mean, I can miss it, but I would rather not.
And let's move our domestic day to the 23rd, since we don't have anything scheduled yet.
Judge,
All right, so tentative trial Monday, December 22nd.
I can't remember, Judge, do you typically start at 9 or 10?
Yes, 9. Mhm,
Okay.
yeah.
and on trials, are you in person or are you Zoom?
I need to figure out if they adopted the new rule, Supreme Court rule on Zoom hearings.
My client's preference and mine as well would be in person.
Yeah. I have to consider a motion though for Zoom, and there's, where did I put that proposed rule? It's lengthy. I don't want to read it all to you. It's not very that I read it.
I think we would be fine with in person. I was just curious.
Okay, well, we'll do that. Well, let me put it this way, just so you know, I'll figure out if it was a proposed rule for public comment, and the public comment was extended. And I'll figure out if it's been adopted and have Amy forward it to you so you can review it, so you can decide whether you want to file a motion for Zoom. I mean, realistically, when issues develop, one side or the other is gonna have witnesses in another state that's gonna be difficult to get them to court where they could testify. So we also could do hybrids, but I'll send you that. That's a ways out. Like I said, I would love to see the attorneys continue to try to come up with a parenting plan. But again, I understand that nobody wants to not be the residential parent. But we'll see. Just, you've got a good time frame here. Oh, Andrew, I'll just remind you, I know it's easy for me to say, but quality can be every bit as important as quantity with the time that you spend with your daughter. And I get the impression that you do devote yourself to your daughter when you have her. So, okay. And I'm gonna show that Ms. Mann's gonna journalize. And if, I'm trying to think, Ms. Huntington, do you think there should be a separate UCCJEA order that could be appealed from this temporary parenting plan?
Yeah, I think we should.
Okay. So, Ms. Mann, if you would journalize that finding by the court separately, I'd appreciate it. The denial of the motion to dismiss.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, folks. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Judge. Appreciate it.